Imagine this, you're 23 years old, the face of a $270 million Disney blockbuster, and the moment has finally arrived. You're sitting in a dark theater, popcorn in hand, waiting for your name to light up the screen, but when it does, there's barely a soul around to see it. This wasn't just a bad night at the movies, it was the ultimate Hollywood horror. For Rachel Zegler, the actress once hailed as the next big thing, this was a brutal reality check, and it played out in real time, on social media, for the entire world to witness. Let's rewind. On March 25, 2025, Rachel Zegler walked into a near-empty theater to watch the premiere of her own film, Disney's much-hyped live-action remake of Snow White. She wasn't alone, technically. A few close friends, Ilda Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel de Mason, tagged along, trying to lift the vibe. But what should have been a celebration turned into a cringeworthy scene captured on Ilda's Instagram stories. The camera panned to Rachel's name on the screen, and Ilda screamed it out. Trying to pump up the energy, Rachel laughed awkwardly, clapped for herself, and looked around at the sea of empty seats. Whether they rented out the theater or it was just naturally deserted, no one really knows. But the optics were brutal. They even tried to make the most of it by joining a TikTok trend. Rachel and friends approached a Regal employee and asked, "To tickets please." When he asked, "For which movie?" they held up Snow White-themed popcorn buckets and souvenir cups and looked completely baffled, painfully ironic. Oh, absolutely. But the embarrassment didn't stop there. Zegler clutched a bouquet of flowers that night, probably a sympathy gift from her inner circle, because the box office certainly wasn't handing out awards. The Thursday previews brought in just $3.5 million the opening weekend? A dismal $43 million for a movie with a $250 million production budget. Before marketing, this wasn't just a flop. It was a financial FACEPLANT. To put that into perspective, even 2019's Dumbo, widely panned as one of Disney's weaker remakes, made roughly the same amount with a much smaller budget. The Little Mermaid, that pulled in $95 million on opening weekend. Snow White, not even in the same ocean. Social media, of course, had a field day. Seating charts flooded formerly Twitter, showing row after row of unsold tickets. TikToks featured people literally alone in their theater rows, mocking Disney's massive misfire. One user joked about launching a GoFund to help the studio recoup their losses, but just when you thought it couldn't get worse, the internet unearthed a clip of Zegler from a past interview. And let's just say, it aged like milk. In the video, Rachel passionately declares, "I hope people will wait in line to see me. Like they do for the winged victory at the Louvre. Despite my flaws, I want people to see me. Double quotes, well. They did in single quotes t. Instead of long lines and fanfare. Zegler got memes, mockery, and empty auditoriums." Her bold confidence turned into the internet's favorite roast, and then came the real bombshells. A Variety Expose pulled back the curtain on what was really going on behind the scenes. And spoiler alert, Zegler was at the center of the storm. It started with a now infamous moment at Disney's D23 Expo. Zegler took the stage, smiling and polished until she ended her speech with an unexpected political statement. Cue the Disney panic. According to insiders, studio executives were already uneasy about Zegler's out-of-pocket remarks about the original Snow White film. She had publicly called the 1937 version weird and criticized the love story as outdated and creepy. Instead of celebrating the legacy she was stepping into, she seemed to dismiss it. The execs wanted damage control, and fast. Mark Platt, one of the film's producers and a Disney veteran, reportedly flew to New York just to talk her down. It didn't work. Not the first time, and not the second. Then, to add gasoline to the fire, Zegler's relationship with co-star Gal Gadot began to unravel. On the surface, they smiled through press junkets and red carpets. But behind closed doors, insiders described their dynamic as cold, even hostile. and the 2025 Oscars only deepened the rift. During their awkward on-stage presentation, the chemistry was non-existent. Then came the Instagram clapback. Zegler replied to a fan by calling Godot a professional pageant queen. The internet immediately labeled it a backhanded jab. Even Disney insiders felt it was dismissive and petty, but the drama didn't stop there. The tension escalated when Zegler posted pro-Palestinian content, controversial enough in its own right, but particularly inflammatory given Godot's Israeli background and military service. Suddenly, the political drama wasn't just online, it became a real-world safety issue. Godot reportedly received threats. Disney was forced to step in, increasing her security detail and behind the scenes. Zegler's posts created serious challenges. According to those close to the production, even after repeated interventions, Zegler refused to tone it down, until Disney assigned a social media expert to approve every post she made leading up to the film's release. Yes, they had to babysit their lead actress's Instagram account. That's how bad it got. And yet, the PR nightmares kept coming. Just days before the release, Zegler posted a heartfelt message about her experience filming Snow White. 3 magical summers, a crew she adored, life-changing memories. But there was one glaring omission. Gal Gadot, no photos. No mention, nothing the internet noticed. The message was clear. The rift wasn't just a rumor. Now, this wasn't the first time a Disney remake faced backlash. Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid casting also caused controversy. But Bailey kept her cool, navigated it with grace, and her movie performed. Zegler, on the other hand, chose war. In a since-deleted tweet, she clapped back at critics who questioned her casting as a Latina Snow White. "No, I'm not bleaching my skin for the role," she wrote, adding that her haters were obsessed with preserving the bloodline purity of a cartoon princess. And then there was Peter Dinklage. The Game of Thrones star went viral after calling Disney hypocritical for being progressive enough to cast a Latina Snow White, but still telling a backwards story about 7 dwarfs living in a cave. His rant sparked a full-on firestorm. Others chimed in, pointing out that Disney was erasing jobs for actors with dwarfism by replacing the dwarfs with, wait for it, CGI versions. Yes, the beloved, expressive dwarfs from the original were now stiff, uncanny valley nightmares. The backlash was loud, immediate, and absolutely brutal. Disney scrambled. They put out a statement saying they were consulting with the dwarfism community, but the damage was already done. By the time the premiere rolled around, it was clear Disney had lost confidence. No glitzy red carpet, no celebrity pact. Gala, the European premiere, quietly tucked into a castle in northern Spain. No Leicester Square, no fireworks, just whispers. This was not just a film. This was a slow-motion implosion. From the casting controversy to the political meltdowns, social media wars, backstage drama, and tone-deaf interviews, Disney's Snow White wasn't just a movie that flopped. It became a cultural cautionary tale. Zegler's story is the perfect storm of modern celebrity. Confidence without caution, social media without strategy, and ambition without awareness. So, how did it all go so wrong? Was this a flawed film doomed by bad PR, or did Rachel Zegler's choices, one post, one jab, one quote at a time, push this $270 million fairy tale off a cliff? Love it or hate it, the new Snow White film has sparked plenty of debate, especially around its leading actress, Rachel Zegler. At just 23, Zegler has become a lightning rod for discussion. Some hold her responsible for the film's negative reviews, while others rush to her defense, arguing she's been unfairly targeted. This isn't the first time Zegler has found herself in the spotlight for controversial reasons. Even before the film's release, she faced backlash over her comments on the original Snow White and her outspoken political views, including criticism of former President Donald Trump and his supporters. Supporters, however, have voiced concern about the intense scrutiny she's faced at such a young age. Film critic Kelechi Ehenulo describes Zegler as a casualty of today's culture wars. Noting that actors from underrepresented communities Zegler is Latina are often singled out for disproportionate backlash. *, let us know what you think in the comments. And if you thought this was dramatic, wait until you see what went down after the flop. That story might just be crazier than the film itself. Next video tease: the secret Disney didn't want you to know. What happened after Snow White bombed? Subscribe, and we'll see you there.